Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and welcome Chief Marshal, Provost, and Dean of Faculty Vincent Mano, the class of 2018 and the commencement procession.
Welcome to the 13th Commencement Exercises of the Franklin W. Olin College of Engineering. To open our ceremony, we will observe a moment of remembrance. You are invited to remain silent and reflect in your own way on the values of our community and those no longer with us. Thank you. Please be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce the president of Olin College, Dr. Richard K. Miller.
Aren't you glad it's not raining? Toasty warm today. You would think we were in Louisiana. Hopefully we'll get through this without a major thunderstorm. Terrific day. On behalf of the faculty and the staff at Olin College, let me welcome you all to the 13th commencement ceremony. I particularly want to recognize and welcome several distinguished guests who are here on the platform today, including representatives of our partner institutions, Provost Mark Rice from Babson College, and Provost Andy Shannon from Wellesley College. Now, I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the F.W. Olin Foundation once again for their vision and generosity, which established this wonderful institution and ultimately made possible this day of celebration and achievement for the class of 2018. Will you please join me now in thanking Mr. Bill Norden, a member of the Board of Trustees and a former director of the foundation. Bill? I also want to extend a personal welcome and thank you to our commencement speaker, Ursula Burns, the first female African-American CEO of a Fortune 500 company in America. Ursula Burns is Ursula Burns is one of us, a mechanical engineer who began her career at Xerox as an intern and eventually progressed through the ranks to become CEO and chairwoman, transforming the company along the way. She was a leader of the STEM program at the White House from 2009 to 2016. And she's also a champion of national STEM education. Currently, she's chair of VEON, a multinational telecommunications company. We are so fortunate to have you with us today. Thank you. Now on to the class of 2018. There are 88 students receiving diplomas here today, and we're very proud of each and every one of you. Many of you will be heading out to graduate school at a wide range of places, including Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, Johns Hopkins, University College London, University of Washington, and others. One of you will be teaching English. Get this, an engineering graduate teaching English in Taiwan on a Fulbright scholarship. Olin was once again named a top producer of Fulbright Scholars this year. And the majority of you have accepted job offers at some of the country's leading employers, including many that you may be familiar with, such as Bose, MITRE, Google, Facebook, IBM Research, Raytheon, Amazon Robotics, Ford Motor Company, Boston Scientific, Microsoft, GE Transportation, Lyft, Sonos, Cognex, and others. And many others are taking jobs at newer and less well-known companies at this point. Wait till the Olin students have had a chance. They'll be more well-known by this time next year. Preliminary estimates of starting salaries this year are up again significantly. But all of you this day, for all of you this day, is a milestone for you and your family, and for Olin as well, a day of celebration. We are officially into our teenage years as you are the 13th class to graduate and join the alumni body of adventurers, risk-takers, and visionaries here at Olin. Soon you'll be receiving a diploma which forever grants you a unique status as an Olin graduate. It's now time to leave the Olin bubble and launch into the world, a world that will at times seem very daunting at best. Anyone who has read the headlines recently knows society seems more polarized than ever before. The din of the day-to-day squabbling in Washington seems louder and more hostile than ever before. Ideology is often triumphant over logic and reason these days. Frankly, our world seems a little fractured. And if we can't talk to each other, how are we going to work together as a team to solve the grand challenges that face our planet? In this environment, any attempt to tackle the grand challenges of our times, clean water, secure global health, cybersecurity, clean energy, preventing nuclear terror, and so on, seems all but lost. But despite what I read in the headlines, I am hopeful. And do you know why? It's because of you. I know what you're capable of. I know you can make a difference because you have lived in a world for 4 years where fresh ideas are welcome, where teamwork is in your DNA, where there is a special growth mindset and a culture here that predetermines innovation. You have embraced people of different backgrounds and worldviews and worked with them to co-design solutions. You know, there are always a million reasons why a problem can't be solved. Not enough time, not enough money, too many constraints, people are not willing to listen, and so on and so on. But often, the reasons why the problem has not been solved are powerful and really are daunting. Many sincere attempts have failed over the years, but you have all the tools to succeed, but it takes more than tools and know-how. When your first attempts fail, and they will fail many times, and you feel very discouraged, I believe you will find the inner strength and determination to try again and again, and here's why. Olin has worked very hard to provide you with more than technical know-how. It has been said that a good education changes what you know, but a great education changes who you are. Changing who you are is very hard, and it requires an intense experiential environment where personal mentorship, worthy challenges, and struggle through adversity and uncertainty are the norm. It isn't likely to happen solely over the internet with online learning, artificial intelligence, or robotics. It's much deeper than learning technical know-how. Now, I have found that in times of failure and despair, what matters most is a sense of purpose, true commitment to a cause greater than self. This is much more important than all the latest technical know-how. I believe you all have this in you now. It is a reservoir in times of failure and frustration. Nietzsche put it this way: he who has a why to live for can endure any how. He who has a why to live for can endure any how. Let me give you an image to remember this from David Brooks, a columnist for the New York Times. A man bought a house that had a grove of bamboo next to the driveway. He didn't want the bamboo, so he chopped it down. He dug a hole where the roots were, and he chopped up all the roots. Then he poured poison into the hole. Then he poured 2 feet of gravel on top of the poison, and then he paved it over with concrete. And you know what? 2 years later, bamboo shoots came up between the cracks in the concrete. I believe you all have this unsinkable desire to do good, to make the world a better place, deep in your heart. And no matter how overwhelming the challenges, you will eventually find a way to break through, just like the bamboo. So many people do not see changing the world as a possibility for them. But you're different. You have all the tools and also a sense of purpose. Now, my friend Tony Chan, the former president of Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, wrote in his new book, Out of the Box, which is written for his colleagues in China about innovation. In Hong Kong, we often hear people say one needs money in order to have a dream. And so many would rather choose a stable career over risk-taking. They do not see changing the world as a possibility. And sometimes those who have dreams are afraid to pursue them as they do not want to be ridiculed by their peers or society. When one makes his or her career choice, instead of only pursuing stability, one could also consider choosing impact and dreams. Dreams can be the engine to take us far, but only if you dare to do so. I think Tony is exactly right. Dreams can take us far, but we must dare to do so. It's especially hard to risk ridicule from peers and the security of acceptance in the mainstream. Olin faced exactly this ridicule when we chose to start over again in higher education, just 15 miles from the nation's most well-known and oldest university, without tenure, without academic departments, without a PhD program, and with a commitment to continual change that motivated a culture where everything here has an expiration date. What could go wrong with that? There will come a time as you progress through your life that you may want to give up on your dreams, when you might decide to choose seductive path of stability over a path that will have more impact, a path that just might change the world. Now, I made a similar choice many years ago when I decided to come here. I said goodbye to life with tenure as an academic leader of a respected large state university in a beautiful small Midwestern town, Iowa City. I came here as the first employee in the middle of winter. When I first arrived, Olin College consisted of 5 people and nothing else. It was a radical, disrespectful idea, not even a place. My closest advisors almost all begged me not to do this. After all, their opinions, that's what peer review is the basis for nearly all that is respected in higher education. So making a commitment before there is a published proof that it works is potentially career-ending decision. So my colleagues were not wrong in cautioning me. There may be many days of enormous uncertainty and risk for you as well. And there were here, for sure. I nearly walked away several times, but many others joined me here. Just look around. Facing similar risk and uncertainty for a cause we all believe in. Together we have been very fortunate, and I have never regretted my decision. You are more likely to regret later the bold opportunities that you turned away because of fear than those worthy of bold opportunities that you accepted, even if they ultimately failed. As I look out onto the many faces here today, I'm filled with pride that so many people made similar choices to help build this college. Because now here we are today, standing with you, the 13th graduating class. So today I urge you to take a similar small step into the unknown, choosing meaning over money when you can. Dream big, be bold, be brave, do your best to change the world for the better in your company, in your school, in your town, in the world at large. As my late friend and mentor Chuck Vest observed, there has never been a more exciting time to begin a career in science and technology today. The opportunities on the horizon to make the world a better place are absolutely astounding, and I'm sure you'll take your place among those who do that. So take the core values that we model here and demonstrate them wherever you go. The world needs your drive and your skills now more than ever. Become the change you want to see in the world. You are desperately needed. Godspeed to each of you and good luck.
I would now like to introduce Kenneth Stokes, who is representing the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Vin. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Franklin W. Olin College of Engineering, it's an honor to add my welcome to the class of 2018, their families and friends, our many other guests, and indeed the entire community to this, the 13th commencement of the college. As the father of an Olin graduate, I'm especially pleased to welcome the parents to this very special celebration. Having sat in the audience just 6 years ago, I know firsthand the pride and excitement you are undoubtedly feeling as your children, now young adults, sometimes hard to believe, are about to complete their transformational Olin College experience and embark on the next exciting chapter in their lives. I certainly hope to the parents that you've enjoyed your Olin experience as much as I suspect your children have, and I encourage you to remain active in the community even after your children join the alumni ranks. Surrounded by a panel of impressive speakers today, I'm challenged to find something to say that you'll remember tomorrow morning. So, given that we're in an academic setting, I'm going to focus on the 3 R's. However, I'm not talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic, but rather rejoice, recognize, and remember. Starting with rejoice, I want to celebrate 2 important milestones today. First and foremost, the class of 2018's successful completion of 4 years of hard work and hard play. Within literally a matter of minutes, yeah, it's that close, you will become graduates of Olin College, prized not just for your knowledge and your skills, but for the mindsets and can-do attitudes you've developed and nurtured during your time here. You will leave Olin well prepared to ask the right questions and solve the toughest problems. You will go on to make wonderful and great things happen. You will enjoy success in a wide variety of career and advanced educational pursuits. That alone is reason to rejoice. But at an institutional level, there's yet another reason to rejoice. Even though many of you are probably already aware of this, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it on such a special occasion. The recent release of an MIT-funded study on undergraduate engineering education entitled "The Global State of the Art in Engineering Education" provides a second reason to rejoice and celebrate. It is perhaps the most glowing third-party confirmation to date of the tremendous progress that Olin has made, the growth in the stature and influence of the college, and most importantly, the exceptional quality of education our students are receiving. The MIT study ranked Olin as among the world leaders in undergraduate engineering education. And that's right, I said it was the MIT study that did that. And cited the college specifically for its multidisciplinary, student-centered education that extends across and beyond traditional engineering disciplines and is anchored in issues of ethics and social responsibility. This study, for me, confirms that the vision of the founding trustees, brought to life under President Miller's leadership and driven forward by the dedication of and hard work of both current and former faculty, staff, students, and trustees, is unquestionably making a difference. And while I know we're not going to be content to rest upon our laurels, it's a remarkable feat for such a young school. 13th commencement, less than 20 years in existence, impressive. It's something I like to view as a virtual platinum seal of approval on the diplomas you're about to receive. If you haven't seen it yet, I would encourage everyone to take a look at the Olin website for more information on the study, and rejoice, indeed rejoice. Moving on to my second R, recognize. Simply stated, as Rick mentioned earlier, none of us would be here today were it not for an engineer named Franklin W. Olin. His entrepreneurial success in a wide variety of business pursuits yielded great wealth. Wealth that in a very generous act he used to create the Olin Foundation in 1938. A foundation that funded the construction of 78 buildings on 58 campuses across the country during its 6 decades of operation before they decided to start this college. And although I was never involved with the Olin Foundation, there are 2 gentlemen that were who are both still very much involved with the college today. As President Miller mentioned, Larry Milas and Bill Norden are founding trustees of the college, former board chairs, and still active trustees today. They were highly influential directors of the Olin Foundation in its latter decades, and they deserve both recognition and our heartfelt thanks and appreciation for their visionary decision to create the college and their continuing dedication to its success. It's always an honor to share the stage with them. Normally, I would say it's an honor to share it with both Larry and Bill, but Larry couldn't be here today. But he's been a regular attendee at these celebrations as well. Now moving on to my third R, remember. And I ask, if you're going to remember one thing, especially the graduates, from anything I say today, please let it be this. It was the hope of the Olin Foundation, and it's a hope that the college holds as well, that in addition to the world-class education that you'll take from Olin, our graduates would also take with them a true appreciation for the role of philanthropy in making the world a better place. As Olin students, it's something you've seen and benefited from, and something you've undoubtedly participated in through one of the college's many community service activities. So on behalf of the college and the trustees, as you go off to pursue your dreams, we ask you, the class of 2018, not only to abide by the college's founding precepts to do good for humankind, but we also call upon you to remember and emulate Mr. Olin himself, stated perhaps in more popular parlance, to be like Frank and to support the causes that are important to you with your time, your treasure, your talents, and your treasure. Good news, I've just discovered a fourth R. It's time for me to return to my seat. But before I do so, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I want to wish you all abundant health, great happiness, and much success in the years ahead. Congratulations to the Olin class of 2018. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Nora Schleboberski, who will bring greetings from the class of 2018.
Hello. I'm very excited to welcome you all to Commencement. And that's pretty much all that I have to say. What I'd like to do for the next 5 minutes is break down that sentence. First part is I'm very excited, and I don't need to elaborate much on this. To welcome you all, there are two parts to this one, and both will take a bit longer to process. In welcoming you, I'm inviting your participation in this event. The applause and the cheering has been excellent. I'm inviting you to think of all the hard work, whether physical, mental, or emotional, which helped us arrive at this moment. I'm inviting your knowledge or your questions about what our future might hold, questions that could contain hopes or fears, questions like what we're supposed to do now that we don't have ADE or scope to occupy our free time. I'm inviting you to let all of these thoughts and feelings add richness to the event. And while we may share many of these thoughts and feelings, we are all still seeing this event from different perspectives, figuratively and physically. Let's take a moment to see exactly who you all are. Front and center are my classmates. We worked hard, we made it, and we didn't even need a class Facebook group chat to do it. After 4 years of immersion in the Olin bubble, we're gazing out and constantly being both amazed and confused by all of the rainbow swirls that are floating across the surface. Behind them are our friends and our family. Congratulations on parsing through all the acronyms we use during every call home. You've had an interesting perspective for the past 4 years, seeing whatever we happen to reflect to you, whether intentionally or sometimes unintentionally. To the left, to my left, are the faculty, and to the right are the staff. Thank you again for everything. Many of you share a different temporal perspective on this event. Odds are that you'll experience this event, or have already, many more times than we will, and I don't doubt that affects the way you see it. And finally, there are the folks behind me, esteemed guests, trustees, cabinet members. I wish I'd become more familiar with your perspectives, because they were just as critical to shaping my 4 years here as any of the others. I welcome you all to take a moment and try to understand just how many different people and perspectives are invested in Olin, and hold on to that feeling after this event. Okay, we've gotten through most of the sentence. All we're left with is to commencement. The word choice for the event is intriguing. To commence is to begin or to start something. And that definitely feels a bit lighter and more optimistic than calling this the final conclusion ceremony. But I'm curious what other meaning it might hold. It might be cliche, but it's still non-trivial to say that my classmates and I are starting a new phase of our lives. In fact, we're probably about to experience the most radical shift in perspective, one that brings us closer to many of the rest of you. But on the invitation to this event, it welcomed you all to the 13th commencement in honor of the class of 2018. It seems to imply that commencement is applicable to more than us graduates. I think it's telling us that this is a moment when Olin commences. Faculty and staff, perhaps you're beginning preparations to make an impact on a new class, whether that's through the way you're structuring a course, a new strategy for reaching prospective students, or ensuring that the campus fits the needs of the community. Family and friends, you'll accompany us as we enter a new phase in our lives. And while we continue to better define our dreams and our aspirations, you might learn something new about us. I think it's in the spirit of Olin to value these beginnings and to take every opportunity to act on them. Whether that's an opportunity to begin something new or to begin seeing things from new perspectives. Let's all begin engaging with and discovering more of these perspectives, not just when it's that of a user group that we're working with, but more widely as well, here at Olin and in the rest of our lives. And so, one more time, I'm very excited to welcome you all to commencement.
I would now like to introduce Professor Mark Somerville, who will bring greetings from the faculty and staff of Olin College.
President Miller, members of the Board of Trustees, esteemed guests, parents, family, friends of the graduates, and of course, class of 2018, on behalf of the Olin College faculty and staff, welcome to commencement. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys. So as I prepared this speech, I realized something kind of interesting. This class is actually kind of the same age as Olin, right? Because it was in 1996 that Larry Milas came up with the idea of this new engineering college dedicated to the discovery and development of new approaches to engineering education. And Larry's not here today, but we've already thanked Larry and Bill Norden and the foundation for all the work that they did in conceiving of this new institution. But we haven't also thanked someone else. At about the same time that Larry and Bill were getting busy with the institution, your parents were getting busy too. And so could we thank them for the role that they had in conceiving you? All right, so the fact that all this was happening back in 1996 or so means that really today, in some sense, both you and Olin are kind of becoming grown-ups. I put becoming grown-ups in quotes, well, because first of all, given the joke I just made, I'm not sure I am, but I also know a lot of you aren't. But anyways, transitions like this really are great points to pause and to reflect on what's come before. There are moments when we can step back and ask what lessons there are from the different experiences that we've had along the way. Or in other words, to be more direct, they really provide a great opportunity to think about those embarrassing childhood stories. Stories of first loves, stories of vomiting in class, mortifying outfits forever immortalized in photos on the internet. So I found myself reflecting on embarrassing childhood stories and the lessons that we can learn from embarrassing childhood stories. And you'll be happy to know I'm not going to tell stories about you. Your parents did give me some good fodder, but I decided that, like singling out Keenan or singling out Shreya, singling out Frankie, wouldn't it be a nice thing to do? Although I will say, wow, that was embarrassing. Instead, I'm going to tell you an embarrassing Olin story. It's a story that does have some lessons embedded in it, so in my sort of instructor mode, pay attention, think about those lessons. And they're lessons that I hope will ring true for you, and also I think lessons that all of us at Olin can do well to remember. So now we're going to the story. Back many years ago, at the dawn of Olin, there was an idea called gates. At the end, this is the idea was at the end of each year of the student experience, there would be some kind of authentic assessment that would give students a chance to put the pieces together, a chance to understand where they were from a knowledge and skills perspective, and a chance for the institution to understand what was working and what wasn't working within the institution. So you can sort of think about this like a week-long authentic oral exam. That was kind of the idea. So that was the idea that we had. Well, what actually happened with that idea? Well, fortunately, there was actually a reporter present at the time. This was Janet Tsai, who was writing for Frankly Speaking. She's now actually a faculty member at Colorado University at Boulder, where she's inventing a new engineering program there. But Janet really tells the story better than I can, so I'm going to quote from Janet's story. Nobody expects the Olin imposition. A rousing calisthenics routine kicked off the first day of school at Olin College. and the first ever Olin imposition. As Professor Rob Martello explained, the jumping jacks were meant to wake up the sleepy students who were unaccustomed to starting their day at 8:30 a.m. Immediately following the sound off, students were sent to the auditorium for an explanation of the day's events, as well as a snatch of a Monty Python sketch showing several men in red robes exclaiming, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!" Let's pause for a moment there. It's the first day of class. Students have been woken up by a bullhorn. They've been brought out to the oval, made to do jumping jacks as part of a day-long oral exam that has a title that is based in some kind of bad pun way on a Monty Python sketch. Just saying. So back to the article, which gives a little background on the event. Professor Mark Somerville led a committee composed of numerous other faculty and students to plan this groundbreaking institutional assessment. The idea for an Olin imposition-like event had existed in many forms and names since 2000 and had been studied by numerous Gates committees. But the most recent Gates committee had decided that the only way to really make progress on the many questions surrounding Gates was to actually run a gate. Seems pretty logical to me, right? Following the orientation of the day's events, students were given T-shirts like this. They were divided into teams, and they were sent to rooms across campus. There, the teams began to work on brain exercises meant to complement the earlier physical activity, since a good balance of creativity and vigor was one of the imposition's aims. While working on these tasks, groups were interrupted by a set of 3 adult ruffians who called themselves the Rhyming Riddlers. Clad in doctoral robes from Cornell, MIT, not at all unlike these robes, and the University of Chicago, these 3 brave and stalwart professors went from room to room, spreading their message of distraction. The article even includes a bit of the script that these riddlers used, and so you're going to have to imagine not only me, but also Rob Martello and Sarah Spence-Adams alternating in this script. So just bear with me. I can't do Rob or Sarah, but you'll just have to believe me. Hey, diddle diddle, it's time for a riddle. Hey, diddle diddle, it's time for a riddle. Now it's time to choose a scroll. And at this point, I would hold out a set of 5 scrolls. Each contains a rhyming roll. Get it right, and you'll get an orange. But get it wrong, and you'll get a... So Janet's reportage continues. After this engaging and sometimes frightening performance, one member of the student team would reach out an unsuspecting hand and select a scroll, at which point Professor Somerville would grab the scroll from the student's hand, and each of the professors would take turns reading, line by line, until the riddle was over. Teams were allowed to guess for about 1 minute, during which time Professor Somerville would repeatedly say, "Tick-tock," and Professors Adams and Martello would reply, "That's the clock." Teams were generally successful, with over 90% guessing correctly and winning an orange. The oranges were purchased by Professor Adams. That's the end of the story. So first of all, I'll note that the first ever Olin imposition was also the last ever Olin imposition. And if we were in class right now, I would have you turn to your neighbor and when you would reflect on what this meant to you, and you'd do a debrief and stuff, but I'm just going to tell you. So here are the lessons that I think we might take away from this. Lesson 1, stop talking and start trying. The idea of Gates had been a conversation that we'd actually had for 3 years at this point, and it was a conversation that frankly was not going anywhere closer to being resolved. So although the resolution was, I will acknowledge, a hot mess of jumping jacks and riddlers passing out oranges and stuff, it also was actually something that got us moving. And so my advice to you is that as you go out into the world, you'll find lots of people, often organized into things called committees, that want to spend a lot of time talking about things. And I hope one of the things that you've learned during your time at Olin is that sometimes the best thing is to build a prototype, get on with it, and learn from it. Lesson 2, own up to your own mistakes. Although I do actually believe that our decision to build a prototype was a good decision, the actual prototype we built was, well, to be honest, pretty idiotic, and I was pretty much the person in charge of the idiocy. Everyone does dumb things. The question is whether we admit that we've made a bad decision and we learn from it. I encourage you to go out in the world and embrace your mistakes. People know that you made them, so you might as well. And my final lesson for you is make it fun. Imagine for a moment just how successful the Olin imposition would have been if we'd had this oral exam on the first day of class without jumping jacks and rhyming riddlers. That would have been both stupid and miserable. Making it fun, in fact, was probably the only thing that saved the event. And you've got to admit that as crazy as that story is, don't you kind of wish you'd been there a little bit? As we reminded you back in UOCD, you know, if you're not laughing some of the time, you're probably doing something wrong. So good luck to you all. We love you, and we will miss you.
Now I am pleased to introduce Ursula M. Burns, the chairman of the VEON Supervisory Board.
That was the best introduction that I've heard in a while. So thank you. Hey, where did you go? Short and sweet. I love these types of introductions. Welcome, all of you. I want to thank the faculty and staffs and the dais for just welcoming me this morning. I want to thank particularly the parents in the room. Can all the parents raise their hands? Yeah. I've done this probably 7 times, 2 as a student and 5 as a parent. I only have 2 kids, but they went through many of these cycles, as you know. And it is significantly more gratifying if you are the parent than if you are the student. They've suffered with you through this, but you knew what you were doing. They had no idea what you were doing. And that's probably, as the previous speaker said, probably a good idea, a good thing as well. So thank you to all of the parents. And welcome to the world, class of 2018. We're happy to have you, but there's lots to do. Lots to do. And I'm a little bit apologetic how I am handing the world to you. We're not doing a particularly good job today, and I'm going to get into that a little bit, and it's going to be all on you guys to help us figure it out. I'm truly honored to be here addressing one of the premier institutions of higher education. I was around, not here, but around, when Olin was started. I remember thinking it was a little bit of a kooky thing. Do we really need another engineering school, really, so on and so forth. And Dean Kamen, somebody that we all know, was the person who had introduced it to me, and I am really impressed with where it's come, the reputation that it has, and the students that it produces. So to the Olin College, well done. Still a lot to do, but well done. So to the graduates, the world has always seemed daunting to new graduates, but I doubt it's ever seemed so surreal. You are entering a world of contradictions, full of contradictions, an information age that's tainted by disinformation, a world of increasing connectivity, but one where it's hard to feel genuine connections. A time of relative peace and prosperity that is defined by senseless killings and mass poverty. For the past 20-odd years or so, you have largely been observers to this world, but after you step off the stage with a rather, I would say, marginally expensive piece of paper, a little bit less expensive than other places, you'll be joining this chaos. I think often about a 1970s song that I'm going to try to play for you at the end, that's called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Now, this is many generations before you were even born or even thought of, but who knows that song by Gil Scott-Heron? Listen to this song, pull it up on your digital device, and if there's one thing you should do, you should listen to this song, because your life has to follow the words of this song. And I'll get into that a little bit more later. The song noted that we can sit back and watch TV or the many screens that you kind of watch today, and you could say, my God, this is really bad. It's really bad. Things are not going well. Wouldn't it be better if those people out there fixed this problem? And what the song says is that those people are us people. There are no other people out there trying to fix the problem. As a matter of fact, there are probably people out there designing further and increasing destruction to a good world. So it's really important that you guys listen to the song, it's a nice beat, but also pay attention to the words, because we're counting on you to fix these problems. What we need is active engagement, and active engagement not to start some new app or pizza delivery thing or start a company that gets $1 billion by selling it to another company. That's all good stuff, but we're spending entirely too much time on that stuff. We need potable water, we need food, we need access to good education, we need peace, we need inclusion. All of that stuff probably will get you 1/10 of what this new app would get you, but it'll get you more joy. And probably you'll be able to live longer, and that would be good too. So before I go much further, I want to explain a little bit more about myself, because you're going to have to listen to me for about an hour, and it's hot, and I just want to make sure you get some context for my hour-long speech. I get it. I have kids too. If you are anything like my kids, that you are saying, just get off quickly, please, and let me go off and do whatever's next, and it's probably better than sitting here and being hot. But I have you. You don't have your degrees yet, and you have to listen to me to get them, so listen up. My name is Ursula Burns, as you know. I wear many hats, but the one that I'm best known for is being the CEO and chairman of Xerox. The one I should be better known for is being a mother and wife, but okay. I'm the first black woman to lead a Fortune 500 company, and there's not another one, so this is not a really good thing to celebrate. I'm the first and only. That's not the way it's supposed to be in this world, but I'll take it for now. I also serve on the boards of American Express, ExxonMobil, Nestle, Diageo. Diageo makes the stuff that you drink, you know, Johnny Walker, that kind of stuff. Hopefully you don't drink too much of that, but I don't know, are you even old enough to drink that? You are? Okay, good. I lost track of the drinking age. And Uber. And my current role is the executive chairman of this company called VEON that serves Eurasian countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Algeria, trying to deliver to these societies digital communications. It's actually a pretty neat job. I'm a mechanical engineer by training. I graduated from what was then called Brooklyn Polytechnic. It's now called NYU Engineering. And I got my master's degree in ME from Columbia University, myself and your president. I call it the real degree. The other degrees are kind of trailing. You know, this civil engineering stuff, this electrical engineering stuff, computer science. Really, mechanical engineering is where it all starts. I grew up in, by the way, my kids tell me I am so biased, and I say, well, okay. I grew up in New York City. I'm the daughter of Panamanian immigrants. I lived in tenement housing and public housing projects in New York City for my entire life, growing up life. On the Lower East Side, my childhood was set in a really rough background. Drug addicts in my hallways, crime rampant in my neighborhood, really not very good. Totally bad. But I was raised by a very strong miracle worker woman, my mother, who made the world possible for my brother and my sister and I. There were no limitations except for our own hearts. And her message to us is that your heart is limitless. It's this little organ in your body, but it is limitless. So you should go anywhere you want to go and go at any pace you want to go, just as long as it's going towards good. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. I say all of this not so that you can actually give me praise for my accomplishments or feel sorry for my childhood, because I have struggled, I have failed, and I have succeeded beyond my wildest dreams, and sometimes all in the same day. Okay? So for those of you looking for a quick recipe to success, you're in luck today. I have it. And who has pencils, recordings? You should be recording this. This is going to be an earth-shattering revelation to all of you. Key to success, ready? Work. Better yet, unfortunately, hard work. Bust your butts. I'm serious. It doesn't matter what you want in the world, what you want to do, what you want to have, what you want to be. You have to hustle. Otherwise, it won't get done. Obviously, by virtue of you being here, this is not a 4-year like vacation. You kind of know this to some extent because you've kind of gone through it already, but this is just the beginning, guys. I know young people are always trying to hedge a little bit. So you're saying, yeah, I know about this hard work stuff, but there has to be a shorter way. There has to be a secret here. Because, you know, Bill Gates became a billionaire and Steve Jobs did too, and they didn't work that hard. Some of them guys didn't even finish college, right? So I could do that. I'm gonna try to trust me. It's like 7-minute abs, you know those commercials? They don't work. So you can try these. I would say spend as little time as possible on these quick fixes. You may try them, but then get back to the hard work thing and the joy piece. So I'm sure you guys have, yeah, but, you know, there got to be a get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah, she did it. She went from the projects to the corner office. It can't be that hard. Look at her. She's pretty regular, pretty normal. It's not just me or your parents or your teachers telling you that it's all about hard work. There's some research that's been done and since I don't watch TV anymore, I should tell you that, because I just can't listen to the discourse at all. I basically watch TED Talks and podcasts and all of this stuff like that, or series on Netflix, which is generally about killing somebody, which you had to turn off too, right? But anyway, so I don't watch the news, so I read a lot of stuff. Research backs it up. This woman named Dr. Angela Duckworth, she's a distinguished professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. She studies the indicators of success. She's been doing this for a long time. She has a great TED Talk on it. You should listen to it. She herself has been tremendously successful. And she has analyzed a wide range of data, looking at kids, adults, across all settings to answer the question, who is the most successful and why? She went to West Point, talked to cadets and to teachers at West Point. She worked in schools, good ones, bad ones, universities, high schools, middle schools, and grade schools. She went to companies, and here's her quote at the beginning of the book. This is the answer to The Secret to Success. In all of those very different contexts, one characteristic emerged as a significant predictor of success. And it wasn't social intelligence, it wasn't good looks, it wasn't physical health, and it wasn't even IQ. It was grit. This is her quote: "Grit is a disposition to pursue very long-term goals with passion and perseverance. Grit is sticking with things over the long term and working very hard at it. That is the distinguishing factor she's found across the board about what makes people successful. Her work confirms academically what many of us have observed in everyday life. No matter what you pursue, there will be obstacles, big and small, devastating and inconsequential, and everything in between. The difference between you and the next guy will be how hard you are willing to work and persevere to overcome. Some of you, women, people of color, poor people, GLBT people, nowadays even immigrants, will face significant structural and institutional challenges. Significant, just because you are who you are. About 50 years ago, when I was a little girl, I was a pretty precocious kid, and my mother had taught me that I could do just about anything, even though we had no money whatsoever. Didn't seem to kind of come into her equation at all. I was told by someone, you are really smart, but you have, these are the words that this person used, but you have 3 strikes against you. You're black, you're a girl, and you're poor. How can 2 of these strikes be what God placed me on the world with, as? How can that be the message to people? That just because you are who you are, you are going to face hills and mountains and wide oceans just to get basic access to good things, a good education, safety, reasonable food. These are things that humans deserve. Humans deserve, and I think animals deserve them too, by the way, but we're only talking about the humans right now. So how can being born the gender that I am and the race that I am be strikes. Poverty is absolutely a strike, but we can kind of fix that one easily, I think. The other two, no repair. By the way, I don't even think that they need a repair. We can't seem to shake this. We are moving actually backwards in this idea that there's some people placed on the earth in better position than other people and deserve more than other people. We have politicians that run on hate and division, and we have people that actually vote for them. Lots of people who vote for them. We must be better than this. Mexicans are not rapists. Muslims are not terrorists. Blacks do have something to live for. Women are not objects for men's pleasure. Power does not allow one to do whatever one wants. And it definitely doesn't allow them to say whatever they want to say. And we have to actually put a stop to this. The only people who can do it is those people, and those people are us people. So, I promise often to not get into politics because it's one of these discussions that actually cause me to cry. So I'm not going to do that because I'll be crying. But I'm going to go a little bit further. You have to vote. You have to get your friends to vote. I don't care what you vote for or who you vote for, but we have a country today where 20% of the people decide the future for 100% of the people. And by the way, then we complain about it. I say that if that's the way that we're going to do this, then sit back and just go along for the ride, but don't open your mouth. I think what you have to do is vote, and then you have the right to complain. If you don't vote, you don't have the right to complain. So I'm going to talk about this later. Midterms are coming up in November. I'm going to take all of your names. You have some kind of a website I heard about. And I want, we can do this to make sure that you walked into the vote, because there's position locating on all of these devices, right? So we can see whether you went into the voting booth. And I can't tell whether you pulled it, but I can definitely see whether you went. So, no more in politics except for to say that we have to do better. This current situation is untenable. It is not sustainable. We have to fix it. So let's get out there and fix it. Because of this kind of division that we have, that we can actually divide people into worthy and unworthy by just looking at them, we have this thing called social immobility. Remember, it used to be called social mobility? It's now social immobility. And I, like I said, a lot of reading, a lot of studies, so this is another one that's really interesting. UCLA, Harvard, and Stanford analyzed, you guys have seen this in the newspapers, I'm sure. They've analyzed the tax returns against census data. This was a big splash when it came out. And I will not go too far into it because there's a lot of interesting data. I'm just going to give you one little piece of the data that came out, of the findings of the analysis came out. So income for most race groups range from about 50% to 80% of the corresponding white income level. So if you're white male, then you make 100, and everybody else makes at most 80, and some of them make 50. And it gets even further. Access to upward mobility, which is what we call the American dream, this big tenet, you work hard, you go up, is actually interesting. The interesting piece of it is that there is no access to upward mobility. You have to be born and lucky, born and narrowly placed to actually have access to upward mobility. So here's the data, which is interesting. Only 11% of white children who are born in the bottom fifth economically will make it to the top fifth. 11%. 7% of Hispanic children, 3.3% of American Indian children, and 2.5% of black children. By the way, this data goes on. Being black in America is really not a good thing. By the way, if there is something that you could trade, your parents would trade in when you were born, and they looked down and said, well, you could pick anything, your parents would be best off to say, if you were a black parent, to say, make them white. Because otherwise, you're screwed. Access to everything is narrower and narrower and narrower, and if you're black, it's almost impossible. They have statistics about if you get there, your chances of dropping out of it are 50% higher if you're black, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The chances of the kids getting arrested are 50% more. It's just a bad situation, but I'm going to get off that now because I'm going to go a little bit more positive. I think. I found my place in the world by actually not thinking about all of these things that were very relevant and very in front of me. I decided what I was going to do is make it better. First, only for my mother. The goal was this great woman in poverty, unbelievable success with her kids, had struggled her whole life. My goal was to make it so that the end of her life could be kind of graceful and easy. So I said I was going to work hard to make enough money to move her out of the projects. She died well before that had happened, when I was 25, which is one of the saddest things in my life. But she was able to give me this, like I said, this passion to keep moving forward, even though everybody said, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Motivation around a passionate, motivation and passionate belief around good things will make the difference in this world, around good things. And those good things, again, are not an app that's going to make you a millionaire. It's about figuring out a way to feed people, figuring out a way to have better discourse than we have today, figuring out we can keep going on what the things that have to be solved are. Technology, interestingly enough, drives this thing that we call connectivity, but makes this thing better and worse, right? The worst is that you guys have to grow up in the light of your neighbors and their reality, but also in their made-up reality, right? They have this old persona that they put up that's really not who they are. You have to kind of figure out who you are with all of this noise around you that's available by technology. We know everything about everyone else, and we have to spend a little bit more time finding out about ourselves. Big thing on this technology stuff. I think everybody's looking down. I even brought mine up here. We all look down at this thing all day, and I say we should be walking, looking up a little bit. We shouldn't be reading people's profiles. We should be meeting people face to face. We should be spending time with people who don't fall into my cohort. A little bit more diversity in our thought and in our access to other people would be very helpful. You're the first generation to develop your identities in this public sphere, but also the only generation, there'll be maybe one more, that has seen the old, which was a flip phone. Do you guys remember flip phones? Okay. I guarantee you, 2 graduations from now, I'll say flip phone, and I won't be here, but I'll be saying it somewhere else, unless you guys have me back. Flip phone, and they will say, what the heck was that? Because you grew up with flip phone, literally, you know about the early days of the internet. You know how it was kind of clunky. Now, you are the last people who have this duality. You got to make that useful, right? You got to understand that there are people around the world. I was in Armenia not too long ago. They would like a flip phone, guys. You go to, so there, you're specially placed. Think about it. You're the guys who started with 104, I think it was, mass shootings by the time you guys started. 108 mass shootings by the time you started college. 209, counting yesterday. 209. You grew up in a world that you can see bad things happening and good things happening, and it's required, I'm going to say this over and over again, that you guys engage and help us change it. This school allows you to do that. This school doesn't have your head down reading the book. It has your head up, working with people to solve really important problems. You have to bring that forward into the world. And one of the things that happened is in this mass shooting things, I said we had 208, yesterday made it 209. This is what happened, right? These kids this thing in Parkland happened, and these kids got together. They were literally kids, 15, 16, 17. They said in their website, chatter, chatter, chatter. Chatter, chatter, chatter. The adults just keep chattering and chattering and chattering about this problem that we have with guns and this problem that we have with shootings, and every time that they chatter, 10 more happens and 10 more happens. They said no more. We're going to actually do something. They had no clue what. But they said, we're going to get together and we're going to mobilize to try to change something. They got 1 million people to give them money, 1 million non-kids to give them money, lots of money. I think about probably 5% of it went to buying beer and that kind of stuff, but because there was little control of what happened to this money. But what they did that was interesting, beside the beer and the other stuff, was in every one of their locations, they had voter registration sites. Did you know this? Amazing. And they signed up, we don't know the number, millions of people to vote. First time, young people, old people, whatever, to vote. And this turned out to be the outcome of this anger around adults talking about problems but not doing anything about it. Who the heck knows if these guys will ever have any impact on the real gun debate directly? I do know that they'll have one thing, which is that if even 10% of these people who sign up to vote, that'll be good. 50% would be amazing, let's go. The reason why I bring this up is because they did it with they weren't even in college, most of them. They did it with very little resource. They did it using the power of this thing that can actually distort who you are. They use it as a powerful weapon to change where we are, and it's the biggest democratization of power that we've had with this internet. We have to use it to our advantage. So, what to do with all of this? So I talked to you about work hard no matter what. You've heard me say that you'll face challenges, many based on things totally out of your control, many of which get to the heart and core of who you are, many of which will hurt, and some may motivate you to prove everybody wrong. You've heard me say that you'll face doubts, anxieties, and insecurities, which will be intensified by technology. And these technologies may feel like they are limiting and squeezing you, but they also provide this class with unlimited potential and power. And so now what? Presuming you work hard, overcome the obstacles, find a new way to think about all of these new technologies and how to apply it. Finding your purpose and what to do with your immense potential is a deeply personal journey. And I was thinking of telling you what to do, but I realized I'm totally incapable of doing that. I have no skill in that area, except for one thing. If you don't love it, you're not going to be good at it. So you have to find something that you actually love, that you have passion about, and do it. It's a big world out there. You just have to get out there and kind of handle it, not make people handle you. I do a couple of these speeches every year. I'm looking for my song, so don't, yeah, I got it. I do a couple of these speeches every year. And I do them because, two, literally every year. I do them because as you know, it takes time to get here, all of this stuff, you know how that works. It's free, I don't get paid. Not that I would take it even if I did. The reason why I do them is because of you. You know, this is the best time in your life. By the way, this is the best time in your life so far, and tomorrow will be a better day and a better day and a better day. I can actually promise you that you'll have a good life, a good time, if you keep focused on the right things. And the right thing is very rarely money. Very rarely money. You can't be poor. Poverty really sucks. But wealth sucks too without purpose, right? So you have to focus on the right things. It's not easy or linear or inevitable, this thing called joy, success, but you must continue. So get out there, you gotta knock them dead. It's kind of an aggressive word, but you know what I mean. Kiss them all or whatever, make them all happy, attack the problem. And if they ask you, you know, how do you know? You say, Ursula sent you, right? They don't have a chance. So, I'm gonna close with the word, this Gil Scott-Heron song. I'm gonna try to do this, and if it works, I will be really thrilled. And if not, somebody's gonna have to come up and help me do my phone, which I'm hoping is not so. There you go, okay. So listen carefully, because there's a couple of funny things in this. I'm not going to play the whole song. I'm just going to play the beginning. But I worked for 38 years at a company called Xerox. And if you pay attention, Xerox is in this song. Right? You hear it?
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you.
So, the revolution will not be televised. It's all about you guys doing something about it, right? You can't watch it. You have to be involved. I do not believe that there's going to be a physical revolution, so don't go out saying, Ursula, you know, which I think the current administration would believe you if you said that and arrest me. So don't say that. Don't do that. I mean, the revolution is around the current state. The revolution is around negativity. The revolution is around lack of access. The revolution has to be around a world that's more inclusive and better and balanced. So thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the candidates for Bachelor of Science degrees. Those who have completed their requirements have been recommended by the faculty to the Board of Trustees to receive the degree of Bachelor of Science in recognition of their academic accomplishments. Will the candidates please rise?
By virtue of the power granted to Olin College by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and by the authority given to me by the Board of Trustees, I do hereby confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science in Electrical and Computer Engineering, Engineering, or Mechanical Engineering, according to the degrees you have earned and the requirements you have completed, with all of the attendant rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining to this degree. That means you can take this little dangly thing and put it on the left now. I would now like to ask you to turn around, face your families, and thank them for all the love and the support they've given you over the years. Now is a good time for you to turn to your left or the right and to thank the staff and the faculty for all of their support while you're here at Olin. Okay, you can sit down. To present the graduates, I now call on Dr. Vincent Mano, Provost and Dean of Faculty. We'll be assisted in the distribution of the diplomas by Mrs. Linda Canavan, College Registrar. Now to the audience, please hold your applause for each graduate until their name and also the 15-word passage about each of them has been read. This is a unique feature of Olin, so if you're first time at our commencement, you will find this to be interesting. The first row of graduates may stand and approach the stage.
David Abrahams.
Thanks, Mom, Dad, and Noah for teaching me the only limits in life are the ones you believe in.
Brett Graham Atkinson.
The weather was lousy at last year's commencement, so I stuck around to try again.
Selena Marie Leilani Beacons.
Be sure to take care of yourselves. If you awake, you a fake. Much love.
Zarin Bouyan.
GGWP.
Daniel Bishop.
There is not enough time to do all the nothing we want to do.
John Bozella.
Thanks, Dad.
Anna Camille Buckley.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, and everyone else who helped me on this long journey.
Gabriel Q. Buderek.
To think, the answers were right before us, constructed from the words all around us.
Sean Carter.
Let's hope the next 4 years are as much an adventure as the last 4.
Lilia Chan.
It's been an amazing journey with family and friends. Cheers to the next adventure.
Jace Biscayne Shea Chow.
The next Frankly Speaking deadline is Friday, August 24th by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Gabrielle Clark.
Love and thanks to my family, the ones I've chosen and the ones I'm stuck with.
Annabelle Claire Concilio.
Life is simply the people you surround yourself with. Thanks everyone for making mine great.
Michael Shields Costello.
Every child born is a revolution with a song inside. Keep singing, friends.
Kevin Crispy.
Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity.
Harris Scott Davidson.
Thanks for the best 2 freshman years.
Andrew Deaver.
Let us have a moment of silence for all those entering the real world today.
Juan Carlos Del Rio Ojeda.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, for the longest study abroad ever. I love you.
Francis Anandi Davenbu.
Amma, Appa, Josephine, and my friends, thank you and all my love.
Cecilia Ray Deal.
Under the clothes, under this robe, I'm naked.
Michaela Eleanor Deach.
I promise I will try my very best to light the patriarchy on fire.
Christine Dimke.
17 years of school down, 7 more to go. Thanks, Mom, Dad, and Alex.
Rocco R. DeVerde III.
The ocean and space are basically the same, right? See you on Mars.
Aubrey Trin Doherty.
Mom, Dad, Avery, Olin, thanks for sharing the world with me. I love it here.
Trent K. Dye.
Mom and Dad, now you have 2 mechanical engineers to put up with. Thanks, everyone.
Marie Caroline Finca.
From simple beginnings, endless forms most beautiful and wonderful have been and are being evolved.
Mackenzie Noel Frankleton.
Is it too late to turn in that last ISIM lab?
Isaac Ghetto.
Mom, Dad, Rebecca, Jacob, Nana, and friends, thanks for these great years. Love you all.
Rebecca Jane Geddes.
Thanks to everyone who helped me during the last 4 years, especially Mom and Dad.
Aaron Ballin Griner.
Thanks to everyone who helped me walk today. My teachers, family, friends, and physical therapist.
Gordon Jefferson Haig.
Don't worry, I welded it. Thank you, parents and family.
Lisa Joelle Hockman.
It's not an Academy Award, but close enough. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Thomas Andrew Heel.
I am so smart. S-M-A-R-T.
Catherine Grace Height.
Learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist.
Yajong Wang.
Life has always been nice to me, and I should be nice back.
Patrick Reed Houston.
Ciabatta, chipotle mayo, pesto, lettuce, tomato provolone chicken bacon, toasted. Thanks, Mom, Dad, and Michael.
Shruti Iyer.
Amma and Appa, we all together made this happen. We are graduating from Olin today.
Margaret A. Jacobs.
My name is Maggie. I have 6 cats: Ted, Mary Kate, Meatloaf, Skittles, Waffles, and Minky.
Rebecca P. Jordan.
When robots take over the world, oceans won't stop them. I'm making sure of it.
Shane Gerard Kelly.
Don't be afraid to act. You have nothing to lose but your chance.
Ji-Yun Kim.
Nora, Shruti, Zarin, Jong, TJ, you guys make my day. Congratulations and keep in touch.
Taejin Kim.
Thank you. It was an honor to be a part of Olin College.
Julia Grazia Klein.
Nono, Nona, Mom, Dad, Hallway. You are the reasons I made it through.
Miriam Combe.
Thank you, trees, family, Ein, and therapist, for your encouragement and support during this adventure.
Paul Crusoe.
I'd love to thank my mom, dad, brother, sister, and grandparents for their support and encouragement.
Jui Lam.
He came, he saw, he conquered. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for everything.
Kai Chu Levy.
Tal, beat you to graduation. Special thanks to my parents for tuition, my friends for lasting memories.
Franton Lin.
Ciabatta with pesto. Yes, lettuce, tomato. The chicken salad and pepper jacks. Panini'd. Thanks, peeps.
William Andrew Liu.
When something ends, we must think that something begins. Thank you, Mom, Dad, and friends.
Joey Luke Malouf.
It's funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back, everything's different. Calvin and Hobbes.
Scott McKinley.
Shout out to Mom, Dad, the shop bot, and super glue.
Brenna Margaret Manning.
Thank you to my family, friends, and everyone who made these 4 years so special.
Mary Emma Martin.
It's a truth universally acknowledged that I have a degree. Thanks, Mom, Dad, Molly, Megan.
Alex Victoria McCabe.
Sorry, Scott.
Aiden McLaughlin.
Family, friends, educators, especially Mom, I can never repay you the future you've gifted me.
Nora Abdudali Omar Mohammed.
Thank you.
Anisha Patil Nagagawa.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world.
John Wu Now.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for supporting this wonderful educational journey at Olin. Love you.
You win.
Class of 2018. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out.
Hunter Robert Normando.
Three schools, 5 years, and an Olin graduation. There's nothing else I would have rather done.
Rebecca Lynn Patterson.
Now where am I supposed to get my sticky notes?
Jeffrey B. Pfluger.
I like to think people looked up to me during my time here.
Shreya Shri Rangarajan.
Sometimes the smallest things take up the most room in your heart. Thank you, parents.
Matthew Timothy Rulli.
The first thing on my to-do list is always my best. The second's usually laundry.
Cesar Santana.
All I know is my gut says maybe.
Manik Singh Sethi.
थोड़ा मित्रान दा साथ सिर उठे रबड़ा हाथ मादा बहुत ज़्यादा प्यार ननके दा आशीर्वाद.
Kelly Shimazu.
I feel a very unusual sensation. If it's not indigestion, it must be gratitude. Benjamin Disraeli.
Nor Schlababersky.
I want to thank my sister, who ditched her prom to make it here.
Suraj S. Shreff.
Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does.
Robert Siegel Sunstrom.
Burrito bowl, tortilla on the side, brown rice, black beans, chicken, hot salsa, cheese, lettuce.
Elizabeth Sunsmau.
Thank you to my family, friends, and teachers. On to the next big adventure.
Joseph Marshall Sutker.
Well, that happened.
Logan Sweet.
4 years at Olin, and they never realized I was just a swarm of bees.
Wilson Tim Tang.
For my brother, who never stopped pushing and inspiring me.
Tuck Din Tran.
Thanks, Mom, Dad, Sis. Thanks, family, mentors, and friends. Thanks, Olin, and see y'all again.
Hannah Rose Twick-Smith.
I couldn't have done it without my mom and dad. Love you guys.
Jordan Van Dyne.
Thank you for always being there for me, Mom, Grandma, Grandpa, friends, and Stack Overflow.
Brennan Kirk Vandenhoek.
Thanks, fam. I love you.
Ezra Alexandra Verity.
Thank you, Linda Canavan and Vivian Buffard.
Beverly Kristen Walker.
Walker, walking, walked. Thanks, fam.
Shikan Wang.
Git commit-am. Last commit of this project. 4 years, thanks.
Ziyu Wang.
If you stumble, make it part of the dance. Thank you, family, friends, and lemon tie.
Byron S. Wasti.
My parents would probably appreciate me thanking them, but I only have 15 words.
Lucy Caroline Wilcox.
You can't be a champion without water. Thanks, Mom and Papa.
William Frederick Wong.
Yeah, man, Olin College.
Xiaojun Judy Zhu.
To my family, not tea. I think, therefore I exist. I love because you exist.
Keenan Rogers Zucker.
Going last is a lot of pressure, but at least I'm ergonomical with words. Anyone?
Okay, you did it. Congratulations, class of 2018, and welcome alumni of Olin College. This concludes the 13th Commencement Exercises. I hope you have enjoyed today's ceremony, and I would like to invite you, everyone, to join us now for a reception on the Oval and in the dining hall.
Thank you.